It was past midnight when Daniel Carter finally tucked his daughter into bed. She clung to her worn-out teddy bear and whispered, "Will we still be here tomorrow, Daddy?" Daniel forced a smile and smoothed her golden curls. "Of course, pumpkin. We're not going anywhere." But he wasn't so sure. The eviction notice sat like a weight in his pocket. 30 days. He had 30 days to find a new place or be out on the street with a 5-year-old. Life hadn't been kind since his wife died 2 years ago. Jobs were hard to keep, bills were harder to pay, and the world seemed cold to a single father trying his best. Daniel used to be an architectural draftsman, but after being laid off and juggling jobs in retail and food delivery, he was desperate. He wanted a real chance, not just for himself, but for Emma. The next morning, he stood in line at a job fair, resume in hand, clothes pressed to the best of his ability. His eyes were drawn to a booth at the far end where a sign read, "Executive. Assistant needed, discreet, loyal, committed." The booth was sleek. The woman behind the table looked out of place, like she'd just stepped out of a business magazine. She wore a dark navy suit, her hair was pulled into a perfect bun, and her face was unreadable. "You're applying?" she asked, glancing at him, then at his scuffed shoes. He straightened. "Yes." She extended a hand. "I'm Evelyn Wren, CEO of Rentec." He shook it, feeling outmatched. "Daniel Carter." "You're not what I expected," she said. "Follow me." Within minutes, he was in a Blacktown car headed to her office. "Mr. Carter," she said, tapping her manicured nails on a tablet. "This is not a normal job. I don't need a secretary. I need a contract husband." He blinked. "Come again?" "I'm facing a hostile takeover from my board. They believe I'm incapable of emotional connection, too cold, too robotic. But if I show them I have a stable home, a family image, they'll back off. That's where you come in." He laughed, assuming it was a joke. "It wasn't, 'I'll pay you $250,000 for 1 year of marriage.' No intimacy, no obligations other than playing the part when needed. Appearances, dinners, press events. In return, you'll live in my penthouse. You and your daughter will want for nothing." Daniel thought about Emma, about the eviction notice, about the night she cried from hunger. "And if I say no?" he asked. "Then you walk out that door and go back to your reality." He stared at her. She didn't flinch. Cold, beautiful, unreadable dot, and then he said the words that changed everything. "I'll do it, for my daughter." The marriage was formalized within a week. The press gobbled up the fairy tale. Ruthless CEO finds love with a struggling single dad. Public sympathy shifted. The board backed down. Daniel moved into Evelyn's penthouse. Emma had a room that looked like it belonged in a prince's castle. There was fresh food, clothes, toys, all things he could never afford. But Evelyn was distant. She worked long hours, barely spoke during meals, and avoided eye contact like it was a disease. Still, Daniel kept his distance. He was there for the paycheck, not the companionship. Over time, Emma became the bridge between them. "Miss Evelyn!" Emma cried one morning, holding a drawing of the three of them. "Look, us!" Evelyn stared. At the picture, her fingers trembled as she took it. "That's very nice, Emma." It was the first time Daniel saw her eyes soften. Little by little, the ice began to crack. One rainy afternoon, Daniel found Evelyn in the kitchen trying to boil water. The pot was burning. She looked helpless. "Have you never cooked before?" He teased gently. "I had a private chef growing up." He laughed and took over. She watched him cook pasta with Emma clinging to his leg, giggling. That night, Evelyn didn't go back to her office. She sat on the couch, sipping tea, watching Emma fall asleep in Daniel's lap. "Was it always this hard?" she asked. "What?" "Being alone, being human." Daniel looked at her. "You're not alone, Evelyn. You've just built walls so high you forgot how to let anyone in." Her eyes flickered. But she didn't answer. Weeks passed. They began to share morning coffees, evening talks, and stolen glances that felt too real for a fake marriage. Daniel found himself admiring the way she softened around Emma, how she stayed late one night to help Emma build a Lego castle, how she bought her a telescope because Emma had once whispered, "I want to see the stars with someone." He forgot about the contract sometimes, and that scared him. Then one day, it all came crashing down. Daniel received a job offer from a reputable architecture firm in Seattle. It was everything he had once dreamed of. Full benefits, great pay, stability. A real future, he told Evelyn that night. Her face didn't change. I see. I wasn't looking for it, he added quickly. But it's a good opportunity. One I never thought I'd get again, she nodded. You should take it. Evelyn, I'll have legal dissolve the contract. Early termination, no penalty. Evelyn. But she had already turned away. That night he couldn't sleep. He paced the hallway. Pausing outside her door, he heard sobbing. Soft, guttural, raw. It was the first time he'd ever heard her cry. He stood there, hand hovering over the doorknob, but didn't go in. Instead, he packed his bags. Emma clutched her teddy bear tighter than ever. The next morning, the car was waiting. Evelyn stood in the lobby, pale and distant. Goodbye, Daniel. Goodbye, Evelyn. He took Emma's hand, but Emma broke free and ran to her. Don't you love us, Miss Evelyn? She cried. We're a family. Evelyn dropped to her knees. Tears streamed down her face. I didn't know how to, she whispered. But I do. I love you. I love you both. Daniel froze. I was cold because I was scared, Evelyn said. Everyone I ever cared for left. My parents, my sister, my friends. I thought if I stayed distant, it wouldn't hurt, but you and Emma melted everything. You made me feel again. She looked up, eyes pleading. Don't go. Daniel stepped forward. Then give me a real reason to stay. I love you, she said again, this time like a vow. Not for the contract. Not for appearances, but for you. For Emma, for the way you made my heart beat again. He cupped her face and kissed her. Emma squealed with joy. They didn't go to Seattle. Daniel took a consulting job in New York instead. He worked part-time, enough to pursue his dreams and still be home every night. Evelyn started leaving work at 5, no longer chained to the empire she once used to guard her heart. They traveled, laughed, cried, and lived. Their marriage became real. Not because of a contract, but because kindness healed what fear once froze, and because a single dad, once broken and desperate, gave a cold CEO the only thing she never knew she needed, a family.